Hi, good afternoon, good morning, YouTube. This is Only True Prevails. Third speaking introduction video will be called something else, probably. How are you guys? I'm okay. I just wanted to continue my narrative. Seems like things are ramping up a bit in the world. Just a little bit. I mean, you know, what isn't kicking off in this world? You know, it seems everywhere you look, something else is happening right now. You know, we've had times like this before, I suppose, and then it's all died down again, but at the minute it's not looking too good, is it? Anyway, so we'll continue. I wasn't going to do a video today, I was probably going to do it tomorrow, but I have been asked to speak life today by the Father. So I shall speak some life today. Okay, so remember when I was talking about, you know, how you guys saw your childhood? Did you notice anything different? Did you feel any different than anyone else? Were you just one of those who wanted to go along with the rest of the pack and just did whatever you were told, or did you question things? Did you tend to walk away from people? Did you tend to want to go the other way, or did you want to be part of the crowd, you know, that kind of thing? Things like our imagination and our memories from when we were younger and stuff that we thought. So, in this one, kind of, I just want to talk about the same kind of stuff and when I was growing up and stuff, and how, you know, I was watching a Russian vids video last night. I like Russian vids. I think it speaks a lot of sense, a lot of truth. But anyway, it was funny because, you know, I was thinking about what I was going to put in my video, and he kind of said the same things in his video, and he kind of said, you know, he was more inclined to be a loner when he was growing up, which is exactly what I was going to say in my video. You know, I was definitely, from being quite young, I never really wanted to be around any other people, any other children, you know. My instinct was to kind of stay away. You know, even in play school, I remember not wanting to go to play school when I was like 4 or something. I was like, Mom, can I just stay at home with you? I don't want to go to play school. Then when I started school, you know, that was a whole nother thing. I mean, that was a complete mad day. I remember it well, and my mom remembers it well, because I think it was 5 and I was starting school, and I just had this overwhelming reaction. I didn't want to go in. And I remember panicking, and I was like, I don't want to go in there, Mom. Mom, I don't want to go in there. And in the end, you know what happened? I was being held in the air. The teacher had my legs and my mom had my arms. No word of a lie. I was in midair screaming, Mom, I don't want to go. Don't make me go with her. I mean, I was quite a reserved child, you know, and that was so unlike me back then to do something like that, you know, to that extent. And really kick off about not wanting to go to school. But like I said, this was the instinct I had. I had an instinct to keep away from people rather than mix with people all of my life, you know. What else? What am I thinking of? I remember this day in school, and I often used to think about, you know, life and what were we doing here and why were we here and stuff like that. I've always been a very deep thinking person. What was a fantastic imagination when I was a child. And this one day I was thinking about the Book of Life, and I was thinking about how, you know, the story of your life is written out by God before you. And I was thinking, wow, and I thought to myself in my younger years, I thought, that's really interesting. So I remember being particularly stood in this dinner line at school, and I was like, this day I just decided to test it, and I thought, I wonder if I jump out of this line right now and jump back into the line, if that would be written in my Book of Life. And I thought, I wonder if I can do anything unexpected that's not in my Book of Life, that God might have to write in my Book of Life. And I was really questioning it and kind of playing with that idea, you know. That quite amuses me, thinking on times like that now. But at least I did think about it, you know. At least there wasn't nothing happening there. What can you say? You know, I've always been of the mind and of the personality where I will take in information, but I will then look through that information and scan that information and see if I find it truthful and viable, you know? I've always been like that. I've always been a watcher. I've always been, you know, knowing exactly what's going on, taking everything in, learning, and I've always been that kind of personality. I've always had things thrown into the mix, like I said before. I wouldn't know what it's like not to be under spiritual warfare all the time, you know. Various things have happened to me throughout my life. There's so much. I'm writing books. You know, I've written a book about the first 15 years of my life, and this is not a book selling point at all. If anyone ever watches this, you know, maybe they will one day. This is because I wrote a book about the first 15 years of my life, and it's 125 pages long so far. And I stopped it at 125 pages because it was just full of stuff that had happened. You know, it was a lot to take in. And I will continue that because I have had, I mean, probably a lot of you guys on YouTube, the Christian Truthers, have probably had the same. You know, I know a few of you have, because obviously I watch you and I listen to you and I think, yeah, I know what that's like. You know, and it feels almost as if you are set apart. You know, from being born, it feels almost as if you're set apart from everyone else. It's the best way I can describe it. Even though, you know, when you try and mix and you try and get on, you do it to a certain extent. I don't know. I always felt kind of set apart and kind of indifferent from everybody else. I just had a really, you know, a really extraordinary life. Not in a it's not been really good, don't get me wrong. I have had some amazing struggles in my life. You know, it's not been ordinary by any means, and this is what makes me, you know, as you truthers know, as you Christian truthers know, you can see the truth by what you've learned through life. This is exactly what's happened to me. I got to a certain age and I needed to know, you know. But, you know, I mean, it was that bad. I mean, like, when I was growing up, how old was I? About 9 years old. I was in school and I had a teacher and she just didn't like me. You know, she just didn't get on with me. She kind of made my life hell while I was at school. And I was a quiet kid. I was usually quiet kid because I had a lot of problems at home. So I just kept myself to myself and got on with it. But this woman, this teacher, she hated me, you know, and she would make an example of me in front of all the class. It was like complete mind games. I was 9 years old. I mean, it turned out where my mom ended up going up there because she was sick of me. I was coming home in tears. And she was making things out of nothing, basically, you know. And I was 9 years old. I'd also been through a trauma at home. I'd kind of been attacked off a neighbour. Basically, I'd had abuse going on at home, and then I got to school, and yes, there it was again, abuse in my face. I'm 9 years old, so eventually my mum had gone up and said, look, what's going on? Something's going on between my daughter and this teacher. And she said, I don't understand it. My daughter's a very quiet girl. She's never had any problems like this in the past. And do you know what the teacher actually said? I mean, the headmaster called her for a proper meeting and everything. They had a proper talk about it. And she actually admitted, I mean, get this right, she actually admitted that she had a problem with me. She said, what can I say? I have a personality indifference clash with Sarah. And though I try to get on with her, I find her aggravating and I can't get on with her. That's what she said. And this woman was a teacher, a professional teacher, you know. She's not a standing teacher or anything. She's a real teacher. And that's what she said. And I thought, okay. She ended up leaving the school, okay, because that's how it went down. And, you know, she admitted this and she ended up moving on because it was that bad. I mean, how ridiculous is this? This is just an average 9-year-old girl, so the school thought, you know. And then there's a teacher picking on you like that. Okay, that's just one of the little things or the big things I've had going on in my life. What else can I speak to you about right now? You know, it feels like I've always been trial and tested, trial and tested throughout my life. I mean, what do you think? I mean, there's a big presence of evil on this earth at the minute. There's been times in my life I've questioned this place, and I've thought, is this like another dimension of hell? Because I always realized it was a big test. I always thought to myself, this is one hell of an endurance test, you know. It's got to be, because that's the only thing that makes sense, until I obviously figured out the truth and everything in the end. It's so hard to kind of reiterate to people what's actually going on when you know what's going on, without you getting to watch all the videos that you've watched and everything, which would take probably months. You know, I had a friend on Facebook this morning. I was just flicking through. I don't often use Facebook anymore because I usually get no response whatsoever, especially if I put truth of stuff on there, you know, especially if I put real events, what's happened throughout the world. Nobody says anything, nobody responds. So I've kind of just gone off there a little bit for now, and I've not bothered so much. But I was flicking through there this morning because I was stuck at a metro station for 20 minutes. It's like everything I do is maximum awkward, you know. It's like I can't escape this for a second of any day, you know. Of course, the Father is always on my side, but I constantly have the battles of the enemy, you know, constantly. So I stood there for 20 minutes waiting to come home in the freezing cold. I thought I'd go on my phone and flick through my Facebook, and it was sad. I was sad to see one of my friends was like, I've given up on God, you know, how can God let this many things happen in the world? And it's really sad to see, you know. I do have an urge to reach out to people and help them, you know. Sometimes I stand back and kind of observe and encourage. And I didn't know what to say this morning, but I will, you know, I will try to encourage him in the right way. But that's the very thing. I mean, I was confused about this whole thing when I was growing up. I was completely confused about it. And that's what was always said to me. If there was a God, how could this happen? Why is this happening? Why does he let this happen? And us Christians know what the score is, don't we? Yeah, we know that God doesn't let things happen, you know. It's a battle. It's a constant battle. Okay. Most of us know that the prince of the power of the air, you know, the enemy, rules this place. Goes back to the Garden of Eden, goes back to Eve being tricked, yeah. And that's how it is played out, and this is why people struggle to believe, because they don't see that whole thing. They don't understand that reasoning of who rules this place, okay? Ultimately, yes, the Father has the ultimate say, but you know, it's so hard to bring the spiritual into this physical world, isn't it? Prince of the power of the air can be everywhere all at once, just like that. And I've practically seen it. You know, I have practically seen that with my own eyes, okay? I've even had an experience once, and this was only like a year and a half ago. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the film Fallen with Denzel. I think it's Denzel Washington. And what a fantastic movie that is. I mean, you watch that. That explains a hell of a lot, okay? That movie just explains a hell of a lot. It's very, very much like that, isn't it? But there's not just Azazel. Yeah. Yeah, I can't even remember where I was going. Oh, yeah. I had an experience like that. A year and a half ago, and it was really, really strange, and it freaked me out, and I knew what it was. You know, I knew what it was straight away. And I'll tell you about that. I'll get there in the end. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to going through your whole life thinking that you're probably different, knowing that you're probably different, knowing that you seem to see and notice a lot of things that other people don't seem to see and notice, you know, even down to the small details. And then you realize you've been like this for a reason, you know. There is a purpose. There is a reason to it. It's just that you have to understand that. You have to be ready to know that, in fact. You can't just be told it and say, oh, right, fair enough. You know, you have to be ready to accept it, and you have to be ready to know it. Otherwise, you are not going to know. Correct, my friends. But, yeah. I know what this spiritual warfare is like. I was watching The Entertainment the other day. He's another great guy. You know, I really empathize with people because I completely know what it's like. I just don't get left alone ever. You know, it'll be through anything. It can be through anything, and whatever it is, for some reason I won't get left alone. You know, and that's just how it is, and I've come to accept that now. And the only thing that I can do with that is fight through it and keep pushing back and keep fighting my corner. Okay, that's the only way to beat the enemy. You don't give up. You don't give in. You don't. You know, you don't sit there and feel sorry for yourself longer than about 5 minutes, because if you do, he's winning. Yeah. If you do, he's winning. I know how hard it is, okay? It's like getting up every morning fighting a boxing match, isn't it? It's like getting up and ding, ding, here we go again. Yeah, and I know how tough it is. And I know how hard it is when you've got no route out of it. You don't get a break, because I've been like that for a while. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I was, you know, like I said, this teacher had not liked me and caused me a problem when I was 9, and I'd been attacked by a neighbor. This neighbor basically tried to sexually abuse me. He lived 2 doors down from where my house was. He was a relative of a friend. So there you go. Evil is all around you, I'm afraid, everybody. You can't just escape it just like that, and you can't trust people just as easy as that. Bearing in mind, this was all before I was 10 years old. Okay, so you can imagine what the rest of it's been like. It's been no picnic. But we're here, and we're here for a reason. I'm so glad I came on YouTube and seen and watched that there's other people like me going through the same stuff. Going through the same stuff for years. You know, I'm not the only one around here, kind of thing, and it's so reassuring. And now I know why. You know, I watched a video by Nine Nania the other day, and it was beautiful. I was just crying at the end of it because it explained it so perfectly. What was it called? Resistors, Puppets and Resistors, Puppets and Resistors by Nine Nania. It is beautiful, and it explains it perfectly. Yeah. If you're a resistor, you don't get left alone, okay? This is what happens. You don't get left alone, but you have to be strong and you have to keep up, because we're practically going to be the backbone if everyone else is brainwashed, if everyone else is dominated, everyone else is blinded by the enemy. Okay, I hope that we manage to wake more people up and they see what's going on. You know, maybe one day they will accept it. Maybe it will take something else to happen before they'll start looking into it. But I believe eventually we'll get there. We won't just give up, you know. Anyway, I'm going to sign off shortly, guys. And I just want to say thank you to everybody on YouTube who I've always looked up to and watched for years now. Who've got, let me see, I'll just go through my subs quickly, check it out. I mean, we've got Russian Vids. Love Russian Vids. He's awesome. Does some really good stuff. Hang on a second. Okay. Who else do I watch all the time? I've got like loads of these subs. Okay, so Nine Nania, that was a great video she did. I love her stuff as well. I really identify with a lot of the stuff she says on her videos because it's some of the same stuff that's happened to me, you know. And people wouldn't, but you know, you can't even, you know, if you were to tell everybody all the stuff that's happened to you, they would think you were just making it up, wouldn't they? Or they would think that you were completely crazy and it didn't actually happen. That's what I mean, you know. It's not something you can just blurt out, you know. Coffin Uprising, of course, he's brilliant, done some great stuff, love some of his stuff. Who else? Before the Fire, Jonathan Kleck, I absolutely believe Jonathan Kleck, and I think he's excellent brother. The Grox one. Okay, I love the Grox one. If you watch, you know, Russian Vids, the Grox one, or Dabu777, Dabu, yeah, he's awesome. Love Dabs. Call him Dabs. Been watching him for years. I used to watch Alex Jones. I don't watch Alex anymore because He knew a lot of this stuff was happening in 2012. He was telling you what was happening now in 2012. And I think that's a bit too close to home for me. And plus, you know, I think it's a bit strange. I agree with Russian Vids and what Russian Vids says about him. Who else? Enter the Stars. Fisherman, he's awesome. I wrote to Fisherman's judge and I couldn't believe the result of that. Did you guys see that whole thing, how that went down? Fisherman he got put away for years because he'd done a YouTube video and it worked brilliantly. I mean, over 100 people wrote letters to Judge Scotty and he was excellent in that courtroom. I mean, he was so good. He was fine. He let him off. He was on probation. Thank the Lord for that. That was good. Icelandic Watchman. James Munder is kind of good. John Lockett. Yep. Awesome. Kafka Winston Will is a great one. KG Osborne, Scariest Movie Ever, awesome channel as well. There's a load of you guys who I really like and I just don't want to miss anybody. But I regularly watch the Grox one. I regularly watch Jonathan Kleck. I regularly watch Russian Vids. I regularly watch Richie for Boston. He's another awesome one. It's come up now. Lisa Haven. Little Angel I watch sometimes. Lord and God is a good one for news events, politics events. Nicholson 1968, they're lovely people. No Greater Love is a great channel for testimonies, guys. I encourage anyone to watch that. What else? PK Truth, he's awesome. Love PK Truth. Run to Christ, Saved by Grace. There's loads, but honestly, if you watch these guys all in succession, I know some of them don't even get on, okay? And I don't know why, it's such a shame, but if you watch all of their videos and put it together, it makes a complete picture for me, okay? There's no points that don't match if you put all the picture together, okay? With what Jonathan Kleck says. About, you know, the Egyptian, you can't say what to call now. The hieroglyphs, the hieroglyphs and everything like that. Watch what Jonathan Kleck does and how he shows what's going on there, because it's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, when we were growing up at school, we were all, you know, taught about how the hieroglyphs, why they couldn't decipher the hieroglyphs, and it was always a great mystery. Well, that figures to me again that I think Jonathan's got it. I believe Jonathan, okay? That really works for me. I'm going to have to get going, guys. My phone's going to run out. I will be back soon. Much love to all you guys. I will shout some more of you out. Thank you. God bless, guys. Stay safe. Much love. Bye for now.